The galaxy had seen many species rise and fall across millions of years. Empires had grown from dust and returned to dust. Wars had burned across star systems. Treaties had been signed and broken. But in all that time, no species had ever done what humanity was about to do. It began 60 years ago on a dying planet called Prime. They were a peaceful species. They had soft blue skin, large dark eyes, and voices that sounded like wind through grass. They were scientists and healers. They had never built weapons of war. They had never conquered other worlds. They simply studied the stars and helped whoever came to them in need. When the human exploration ship crashed on their world, they did not hesitate. Captain was the only survivor. Her ship had been caught in an asteroid field while mapping unknown sectors. The hull had been torn apart. Her crew had died in the cold vacuum of space. She had managed to reach an escape pod, but her injuries were severe. Burns covered most of her body. Her bones were broken. Her lungs were filling with blood. They found her pod in a field of purple flowers 3 days after the crash. Their healers worked on her for 6 months. They used medicines that did not exist anywhere else in the galaxy. They gave her blood transfusions using synthetic compounds they created just for her alien biology. They rebuilt her bones with a special metal from their deepest mines. They sat beside her bed and sang to her when she screamed from nightmares. They did not know humans. They had never seen one before. They did not know if humanity would ever find out what they had done. They did not expect any reward or payment. They simply saw a living creature in pain and decided to help. Elder was the one who led the effort to save her. He was old even by standards. His blue skin faded to pale gray, his eyes clouded with age. But his mind was sharp. He organized teams of healers to work in shifts. He studied human biology from the broken computers in her escape pod. He learned her language by listening to the audio logs she had recorded during her journey. When finally opened her eyes and asked where she was, Elder was the first to answer her. "You are safe," he said in broken English. "You are among friends." Stayed on Prime for 2 years while she recovered. She learned their language, their customs, their history. She ate their food and celebrated their festivals. She taught the children about Earth, about oceans and mountains and cities full of millions of people. She showed them pictures of her family and told them stories about her grandmother who had been a pilot too. They had never had a human friend before. They found her strange and wonderful. They loved how she laughed so loudly. They loved how she cried without shame when she was sad. They loved how she ran through their fields just because running felt good. When a human rescue ship finally found her, did not want to leave. But she knew she had to. Her family believed she was dead. Her world needed to know about their kindness, about the beautiful people who had saved her life without asking for anything in return. She hugged Elder before she boarded the ship. "I will never forget you," she said. "I will tell everyone about your people, and if you ever need help, humanity will come. I promise you that." Elder smiled sadly. His people did not believe in promises from strangers. Too many species had made promises and broken them, but he appreciated her words. "Live well," he said. "That is all the thanks we need." Returned to Earth and told her story. She spoke at the United Nations. She wrote books. She gave interviews to every news channel that would listen. She showed the galaxy the kindness and she made humanity promise to remember. For 60 years, humanity remembered. Ships visited Prime regularly. Trade relationships were established. Cultural exchanges happened. Human doctors studied medicine, and scientists learned human engineering. The two species became friends across the stars. Grew old. She married and had children. She became a grandmother and then a great-grandmother. She told her descendants about Elder, about the healers who had saved her, about the purple flowers in the field where she had nearly died. She was 93 years old when the news came. The Dominion had arrived. The Dominion was a collective of 12 species that had been conquering the outer rim of the galaxy for 300 years. They stripped planets of resources. They enslaved populations. They burned worlds that resisted. No single species had ever been able to stop them. And they had decided that Prime would be their next target. They had nothing to fight with. Their ships were built for exploration, not war. Their people had never held weapons. They did not even have shields strong enough to protect their cities from orbital bombardment. When the Dominion fleet appeared in their sky, they sent out a desperate message to anyone who would listen. Please help us. We have no way to defend ourselves. We will die if no one comes. Most species in the region ignored the message. The Dominion was too powerful. Fighting them meant destruction. It was safer to look away and pretend not to hear. But heard the message. She was in a hospital bed, her body failing after 9 decades of life, when her great-granddaughter showed her the transmission. Hands shook as she watched the terrified face of a young begging for someone to save her people. "They saved me," whispered. "They have to be saved." She used the last of her strength to record a message of her own. "My name is, 60 years ago I crashed on Prime. I should have died. They saved my life. They did not know me. They did not owe me anything. They simply chose to be kind. Now they need our help. I am asking humanity to remember what they did for me. I am asking humanity to pay back a debt that can never truly be repaid. Please, save them." The message spread across human space within hours. And humanity answered. Ships from every human colony launched toward Prime. Military vessels that had been retired were brought back into service. Civilian freighters were armed with whatever weapons could be attached. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers, demanding to be sent to help. The human fleet that arrived at Prime was the largest ever assembled in history. Admiral Way stood on the bridge of the flagship and looked at the Dominion armada blocking the planet. There were over 2,000 enemy ships. The humans had brought 4,000. "This is Admiral Way of the United Human Fleet," she broadcast on all channels. "You will leave this system immediately. The people of Prime are under our protection." The Dominion commander laughed at the message. Humans were young. Humans were inexperienced. Humans had never fought a real war in space. "You will die with them," the commander replied. Admiral smiled grimly. "Maybe, but you will die first." The battle lasted 3 days. Human ships swarmed the Dominion fleet with tactics they had never seen before. Human pilots flew with reckless bravery, sacrificing themselves to protect transports evacuating civilians. Human engineers worked without sleep to repair damage and keep weapons firing. Human soldiers boarded enemy vessels and fought hand-to-hand in the corridors. The Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had destroyed dozens of species. They had never faced an enemy that refused to retreat. They had never fought a species that would die rather than abandon their friends. On the second day of battle, the Dominion commander ordered a retreat. The humans did not let them go. Every ship that tried to flee was hunted down. Every commander who had ordered the attack on Prime was captured and brought to justice. The Dominion learned that day what it meant to threaten a friend of humanity. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, Admiral landed on Prime. They had gathered in their capital city, millions of them filling the streets, their soft voices raised in songs of gratitude. They had watched the battle from the ground, seen the human ships burning in their sky to protect them, and they could not believe what they had witnessed. A young pushed through the crowd to reach Admiral. She was small and frightened, her blue skin pale with exhaustion. She had been the one who sent the message begging for help. "Why?" she asked. "Why did you come? Why did you risk so much for us?" Admiral knelt down to look her in the eyes. 60 years ago, your people found a dying human in a field of purple flowers. You could have ignored her. You could have let her die. But you chose to save her life. You did it without expecting anything in return. You did it simply because it was the right thing to do. The admiral gestured at the sky, where human ships still patrolled to keep the safe. This is what humans do. When someone helps us, we remember. When someone saves one of us, we protect all of them. Your people saved one human, and humanity will always return to save you. The young began to cry. Around her, millions of her people wept with joy and disbelief. 3 days later, died peacefully in her hospital bed on Earth. Her final words were to her great-granddaughter. Did we save them? Did we pay back the debt? Yes, grandmother, we saved them all. Smiled and closed her eyes. The story spread across the galaxy in the years that followed. Species who had hidden from the Dominion began to reach out to humanity. Alliances were formed. Friendships were built. The galaxy learned that humans were strange creatures. They were loud and emotional and sometimes foolish. But they never forgot a kindness. And they always paid their debts. On Prime, the purple field where Spod had crashed became a sacred place. They built a monument there, a simple stone with words carved in both languages. She came to us broken. We healed her. Her people returned to heal us all. May this bond between our worlds never be forgotten. Every year, on the anniversary of the battle, humans gathered at that monument together. They shared food and stories. They sang songs in 2 languages. They celebrated the strange and beautiful friendship that had saved them both. And somewhere among the stars, other species watched and wondered. If the humans would do all this for one act of kindness, what would they do for a true friend? The answer the galaxy would learn was simple. Anything. Absolutely anything.